Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ GOONS podcast. I'm your host, Tim, the Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me, as always, every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball, no new Nico. Glad to be back. We survived yet another week of 2021. What day is it? Is today the 4th or the
Friday.
5th?
It's the
But like,
5th.
there was supposed to be there's another conspiracy thing, some crazy shit that was supposed to be going down in DC. I survived it. I made it. We're here. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that we are joined by a BJJ Goon guest veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OG veteran from episode 7, I believe,
Damn.
2 years
Wow.
ago. Yes.
Wow.
Erin Herle, welcome to the
Yeah.
show.
Thank
Erin
you.
Herle is, let me introduce you. Let me do our
Oh.
introduction, okay? Erin Herle is a Rubens Cabrina Charles black belt, multiple-time European, Pans, and Worlds medalist, won Nogi Worlds in 2015, undefeated MMA fighter, and founder of Submit the Stigma nonprofit organization, an awareness campaign within the jiu-jitsu community that promotes education, discussion, and support for mental illness and those who are affected. The goal is to make mental health as important as physical health, to make mental well-being a priority. Ladies and gentlemen, goons throughout the world, welcome veteran guest, Erin Herle. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Hi. I'm so excited. I'm mostly excited because Nico's here, and I haven't done one with Nico yet.
Yeah, we go way back as well. Like, I don't know if you guys don't know, I was recently on another podcast called According to Woods, and I don't know how to turn the sound of my cell phone off. Sorry. And I nominated Erin as like the craziest BJJ Goons guest, even though I wasn't on the show when she was a guest. Like, I know Erin, like Erin's been down in the favela with me. I've been seeing Erin in Portugal. I think like not I think I know I met Erin in New York. I was at Veda's at Jiu Jitsu for the People, and like you just came in with like a suitcase and you had no place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was a blue belt, and I was like, oh, this is like reassuring. I was like, because like she has her shit together and like it's still not together. And I was like, so, this, I was staying on somebody's couch at the time. I was like, okay, so this is kind of just normal, you know?
Yeah, definitely having you around made me feel more normal, or that it was socially acceptable to do what you're doing, because you being in Brazil, I mean, this is so weird. I go to Brazil and I'm like, I'm going to get a one-way ticket and I'm just going to go to semi-familiar places, meaning like the Alliance with Gigi Paiva, because I knew him already, right? And then in Sao Paulo, I had the Alliance there as well. But beyond that, I had no idea what I was getting into. So for me to be in this completely foreign place, especially Rio, where they were like, it's so dangerous there. And to be able to just be like, yo, Nico, what's up? You want to hang out? Like, I don't even do that here, like in LA. I don't even have friends that live close enough, or like that don't work real jobs. Because obviously, if I'm going to call a friend, I'm going to be like, hey, what are you doing? They're like, I'm at work.
Exactly.
So, like, yeah, just knowing that like you were just on the literal same page, and then you were like, I'm doing this project and I'm doing this, and I'm just like, can I come? And you said yes, and I was so happy about that. And I think we bonded a lot, just because you spoke Portuguese and I didn't. I knew a little bit, but having you be my guide was probably really awesome. And to see you like as an expert of jiu-jitsu in the favelas was just amazing.
That's what's up. I'm glad you had such a good time. We're going to talk about a little bit more because I want to share some of our crazy Erin moments, but we'll get into that a little bit later. What are we starting with, Tim? I don't know. You organized everything this time. I've been working my little butt off. Like,
I mean,
Relax.
So, all right. So
exactly.
before we get into like our whole conversation, Erin, what do you think about Andre Galvao getting bitch slapped?
Hot takes.
Oh, okay. No one really cares what my opinion is, because it's always like very personal and like spiteful, and I'll be like, that guy messaged me in 2012 and said a really mean thing about me, and ever since then they're that guy to me. So like my opinions never really matter when it comes to particulars.
Okay.
However, I'm going to go, I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care. That's their own little beef. But the fact that the beef only exists because of social media, And because Flow Grappling is posting that juicy stuff like World Star, but not posting it for free because you have to pay for it. World Star's free. Someone reiterated this to me. I think they should have fought. Okay, first of all, they should have definitely just fought. Like, I think Galvan was still thinking about like, I'm who I am in the jiu-jitsu community, and I'm going to be the bigger person, right? And I'm not going to initiate. But with all that gone, like man to man, they should have thrown hands and they should have just fought. And you know, they both have MMA experience, but who cares? When you have a beef with someone like that and someone's physical, just like do the thing. But I see why he didn't. Does that make sense?
I see
He
it.
knew he was being filmed, first of all, right? He probably knew that, you know, because Gordon is like the king of Flow Grappling as well. He has all content, and he doesn't even need Flow Grappling because he's got his own shit show on his own page. But he's always looking for a fight. You know, it's similar to some MMA guys that have, you know, you think about all the times they've called someone out and said, let's do a grappling match for this much money, or let's fight for this much money. It gets so much hype, and then people just forget about it, and it never actually happens because they call out someone new. And I think that's the strategy that Gordon has done. But I will say his slap was good. It was a really good slap. Like, if you notice, there was no wind up. It was just boom, it's there.
Yeah, that's a
So
black hell, that black house training. They like, you know, for those of you that don't know, Erin has been training MMA, or was training before she got into her next hustle after that. But, you know,
I mean, I am not an expert in striking. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I am a white belt, like a white shirt, at Dynamics MMA under Anthony Hardonk. And so I know my place. But I will say, just from even play fighting with my sister, if you don't telegraph, you know what I mean? Like, that's perfect. My sister taught me a little bit about boxing when I was younger. I think I must have been younger than 8. And she would do that. She would go, you know, like around my hands, and then go boom on my head. Because I was so, you know, I was dealing with this. So just the most
Damn.
basic.
was
You know
dealing with
what
the
I mean?
low. She hit me at the high, you know?
Aaron is
Body,
a
body,
bitch.
body.
Aaron is a bitch slap black belt. Like, she is a master at the bitch
No,
slap. Bitch slap
I haven't.
master.
I slapped one guy jokingly, and he put me in a rear naked choke on the streets of New York. And even though I was tapping, he wasn't letting go. So I
Damn.
stopped slapping men. I also stopped kicking them in the balls when I was in high school, maybe, just because I knew that was the way. So one time I kicked a kid in the balls in like 7th grade. He had a crush on me, and so clearly I had to just put him in his place. He ended up going to the doctor because I kicked him in the balls so
Wait,
hard.
you had to put him in his place because he had a crush on you?
I was joking. I mean, because like back then it's like guys have cooties. I didn't go through puberty till
In
I was like
7th
13,
grade?
14. 7th grade, I was 12.
I mean, you definitely
But
weren't joking.
still,
You
I'm a
the
late
might
cooties
bloomer.
was dead at 12. Like,
I'm a late
what?
bloomer.
You
Like, I had
sounded dead
crushes.
serious about that. Like, and you
No,
said,
dude, like I had crushes, right? Where you're like, oh my God, Steven. And but like it's not like real. You're just like obsessed over the idea of the person. Because I was like a little kid. 12, I was definitely a little kid, just like riding horses and stuff and being weird. And so yeah, that was probably, where was I going with this?
I don't
We were
know.
just talking about how Gordon slapped the shit out of
No,
Andre and how
best
your
part of
bitch
it.
slap.
Hold on,
What's
best
up?
part of it. You guys don't cut me off, so like I just keep going.
Keep
But
going.
there's the guy that got kicked in the balls by me went to the doctor and told his mom he walked into the corner of a table because he didn't want to tell his mother that he got kicked in the balls from a girl.
So
And
would you
I felt
consider
bad.
that to be your first contact with martial arts?
No.
Oh my God.
Okay, I honestly, like when I was a kid, I never was in gymnastics, but I should have been. And my sister and I would do somersault rolls, like races, and I was always the best. She was a really close second. Like sometimes she would win, but yeah. So I've
Sometimes.
always been very like weird and physical.
So I think then, if that's the case, I think that Andre Galval should have kicked Gordon right in the balls after he slapped him. That's what I
Yeah,
take it from
absolutely.
this.
Yeah,
Kicked him in
that's
the
sort of
balls.
tit for tat, right?
It's pretty even, I'd say, in
Mhm.
amount of disrespect.
I'm just
So
confused why he flipped him off and wasn't expecting anything back. Like,
the fuck beats
Well,
me.
okay, I guess Galvo pushed him, right?
He definitely pushed him.
it was a
But
push.
like, but I mean, like, if you is it a shove or is it a push?
Listen,
Do you know what I mean?
listen. You make contact with me, and I don't know you like that, and you're being aggressive. I'm gonna hit you with a 1-2.
But it was
You're getting more.
complicated. It was
There's no complication. You're getting these hands if you do that to me. No one just does that to another grown man that they're not cool with. And
people
it's not
say
a
that.
joke.
People say that though. Like, but are you serious? Like, would it really happen? Has it ever happened before?
It don't happen to me. I think I don't give off the energy where I'm playing games.
No, you're not like a controversial person. Yeah.
No, I'm just like, yo, just who's gonna like? You really gonna fight me over what? And even if you do, like, I can fight a little.
Yeah.
So check
a
it.
little, you
little.
gotta say with confidence.
Huh? I can
Say
fight
with
a
confidence. Drop
no
that.
no one runs up on me like that. I'm just saying, like, no one's gonna run up on me. But check it. Since the last time we had you on the show, a lot has changed. You know, I messaged you earlier, episode 44, BJJ Goons. If you do not believe this, what I'm about to tell you, we predicted the COVID-19 pandemic. We predicted the Rona.
What date was that?
It was like January
Oh yeah.
2020. So
Yeah, Tim sent me that clip this morning. Tim, you gotta like actually. Do you know how to download the videos? You actually have to make it a clip. I'm teaching.
I know how to do
edit.
this. I know how to do this. We
Edit,
will put the clip.
That shit was hilarious.
Okay, put the clip.
So
We will
that
post the clip on
probably
social.
airborne. You know, it's probably gonna be airborne. You know,
I was
Probably
yeah,
like
it's
a
probably
cold or a
flu. It's gonna kill a shitload of people too.
And then it's gonna be like strongest
shit.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my god.
this.
So you, like a lot of other jiu-jitsu practitioners, well, you were doing MMA at the time. A lot probably changed for you your whole year once everything shut down. So what was that like?
Wait, you didn't explain the clip. We just all laughed about it.
Oh, sorry. So
No, kind of.
Yo,
Or
this
was
is
that,
not
like,
an
inside joke style?
inside podcast.
all right, listen. So everyone listening,
You didn't explain
everyone
the clip.
listening.
On
Okay,
episode 44,
on episode
as he was
44.
saying, they were talking, and Tim sent me this clip in the morning.
So
Are we gonna trust him to say it?
Yes,
Or-
I'm gonna say it.
okay,
So
okay.
in the clip, at the time, we were supposed to be going to war with Iran, correct? And we're talking about ways the world was going to end.
Naturally.
I didn't realize there was Iranian war in the beginning of the clip.
Yes, and we were talking about the forest fires and the fires in California and Australia at the time, if you recall. Like one of the least fucked up things that happened in the world in 2020. Nonetheless, we were talking about things that were in the world, and me and Erin were saying it's probably going to be a virus or a super germ of some kind. And Erin said, yeah, airborne. And I said, yeah, probably like a cold, a really bad cold, or the flu. It's probably going to kill a shitload of people, maybe even more than that. And we live in Mad Max times. So me and Erin Herle have special powers that I personally don't want. Fist bump. I personally don't want in predicting the future.
Yeah, now, the first thing you said, I don't want these powers.
I don't want these powers. I'm really good at predicting fucked up stuff, and I really don't want these powers anymore.
Tim, I need you to man up and take responsibility.
Sorry, guys, I fucked the world up. Okay, it's all me. It's on me.
You didn't make it up. I mean, we just knew. We just felt it.
We just knew. So at the time you're fighting MMA or wanting to fight MMA, you're on a seminar tour, and unlike a lot of prominent black belts, shit shut down for you. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh God, a little?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
We'll cut you off if you go on a tangent. Go ahead.
There's going to be a couple, but they're going to come back. Okay. So at the time I was dealing with two things. I had a new boyfriend in Canada who I fell for very quickly. And I had MMA. So already thinking that, it was like, well, I'm going to spend some time in LA and I'll be at Dynamics at my gym. doing the normal stuff, but I'll also spend time in Canada, in Niagara Falls. And I had looked up an MMA team, Niagara Top Team. They have a lot of good professionals. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be great. I even reached out and said, like, could I possibly teach jiu-jitsu? And he was like, yeah, like, you know, I don't see why not, blah, 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 all that. So that was kind of like the plan. Also, on that exact trip that I was on, BJJ Goons, I had left Canada. I went down to Baltimore, stayed with you, and then I went up to New Jersey. I stayed there, and this is like staying on couches and stuff. And then
Notably, she didn't come see me though. Like that.
No, but
should be
you
noted.
didn't see me either.
I
'cause
don't know if I
was
had a car at the
teaching.
time, but like you clearly made it all the way across the world. But anyway,
Fine. Whatever. You gotta meet me halfway. So when I went up to New York, New Jersey, all that, then I flew to Ohio, right? So I was feeling run down. And for the first time I was like, I don't like this. I don't enjoy this. And before it was like, I loved being a nomad. I mean, anywhere, anytime, if someone has a place to stay, I'll get there. If I can teach, make up the money, all of that. Yeah, I was so about it. I craved it whenever I was home in LA. And for the first time, I wasn't feeling it anymore, which is kind of weird, you know. And I think I spoke to my boyfriend Nick about that, and I think part of it is like, yeah, I'm getting older and this and that, and I just, you know, you find love, and like I honestly was like, I could have a family with this guy, you know. You just sort of like they tell you when you meet the right person, right? So that was on my mind. And then when COVID happened, we actually, that same weekend, it was like March 13th, I think, was like the last time I trained. And it was like March 14th. It was the weekend before Pans. And so I had Christina coming down, Christina Barlon, who helps me a lot with Submit the Stigma, my charity.
wait, where were you?
In LA at home.
Okay. So like, cause how close to you are you?
It's like an hour. Yeah.
Okay.
We're all like an hour and a half, but she was going to make a pit stop, you know, for staying with me. And then Valerie Brousseau, who at the time was like my right-hand man for Submit the Stigma, who made this instructional. Normally she has it for corporate offices and how to incorporate mental health workshops. And so we were going to do it for jiu-jitsu instructors and coaches. So how to recognize a mental health crisis, how to, you know, communicate better, all of that. And kind of have like a certification through my nonprofit. So if you've ever seen Mental Health First Aid, it's similar to that. So we were going to do this meeting where Val was going to teach me, my sister, and Christina to be instructors. That way we could be certified. We were going to start this program, and Nick came, and he was going to compete in Pans, his first ever IBJJF tournament, my little blue belt. So yeah, everything shut down. I think he got a refund like the day he came, because it was like they'd announced it. I remember talking with him, like, do we ask for a refund first, or are they going to cancel it? Because it started getting really scary as to, you know, the information of the COVID. So, you know, after everything shut down, it was like, well, I'm not teaching. I'm not training. What am I going to do? So I'm like, if this stays, and also, I mean, I could use it as a time to get ahead. There's always that pull when someone is a full-time jiu-jitsu or MMA competitor. Do I go into the adult world? Do I go into the real world? Do I get a job? Because it takes so much out of you to train, and to train at a high level, to eat right, to have to cook it all, to have to take the right supplements, get the right sleep. If you commute, you know, having to do all that and handle life stuff that comes along. So it was already difficult, and I was already not liking it. So I watched, what was it? King of Staten Island. And first of all, you know, my humor is pretty dark, and I have to remind myself that. So when I like speak to strangers and stuff, I don't scare them. But in the beginning of that movie, they'd have dead dad jokes. It's a semi-autobiographical Pete Davidson movie, and his dad actually died on 9/11 as a firefighter. So that was sort of the premise. And then he ends up becoming a firefighter because his mom dates, I think it was Bill Burr, and he's a fireman. So that's kind of how it comes into it. He goes from being a lowlife to like choosing to be a fireman and stuff. And I was like, I want to do that too. The dead dad joke in the beginning was what really got me. They were like, knock, knock. And he's like, who's there? And you're like, not your dad. He was like, yeah, because he's dead. Nick and I will do these jokes sometimes because my dad died. So yeah, that was a tangent. Okay, but I'm back. So I was like, why don't I go out for being fireman? Then I find out I have to have an EMT to be an LAFD, sorry.
Wait, so at
And
what point into quarantine where you're like, let me try to do this?
June.
June.
Yeah. Because July I took the entrance exam for it was like the minimal to just get on the list for LAFD, which I'm still on the list waiting to get an interview. But that's a whole nother story. So in LA and a lot of the West Coast, you have to do the EMT program, the emergency medical technician, on your own. And then you can be accepted into the academy. On the East Coast, however, where I applied in like Arlington, Virginia, and Fairfax County, I could do the EMT as part of academy, and you get paid in an academy, like upwards of like $3 to $6 grand a month. And it's like a few months. So,
but you were on the West. Why would you wait? I'm confused.
Because I like that, because I was willing to just go because like fire departments only hire for like a certain window, and they don't always hire trainees because they don't always, they sometimes will make you go to an actual academy, pay out of pocket. But if they're having a recruit class that's open, you get in there, they like you, boom, you're getting paid to learn. And then you get your probie year, your 1 year, you know what I mean? And it just, you're in the system.
So you applied for a program over here.
I did.
But
because
why
I thought
all
it was
the
open.
Random places? Like, how are you like, where were you going to live in Virginia? You have friends in Virginia, I guess. Like,
okay, so I have friends in Alexandria, the Forces. Okay, so Eric Force, like my big brother, I met him before jiu-jitsu, and he's just amazing. And his wife is a firefighter for Alexandria.
okay.
So that was really a big pull, because I mean, having a female firefighter, I'm like, cool, it's what I want to do. Also, my aunt's husband, so my step uncle, his daughter actually just got through academy for LAFD, and now she's hired as a firefighter. So they were like, yeah, dude, Amy does it. I mean, Amy did it. You could do it,
So
the
it's
funny
hard
thing,
to get into the academy. They don't normally pay, and they only open up the academy sometimes, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why I was willing, anywhere I was like, okay, I could live there. Like Washington. I applied in Indianapolis, even applied for Savannah, Georgia. But I have the biggest support system outside of LA in that area, because I have Tim, I have the Forces, I have you, I have Saida, I have certain gyms that I'm comfortable at. For whatever reason, that whole DC metro kind of area, Baltimore, I love.
Yeah,
so
that's a very interesting point, because I know a lot of people, when they try to like do some kind of program, they expect everything to be like paid for them, and to be like, oh yeah, she's talking about like applying to schools in Virginia, and like they'll probably just like relocate her, or she stays in a dorm, or but like it's not that easy, even though you say it like it might be easy to relocate from California all the way across the world. But like I just wanted to point out, like that's like a lot of people, and you guys were talking about this earlier before we started recording, like black belts don't know what the hell to do with their lives. And even when you transition outside of something, outside of jiu-jitsu, you still have like this amazing network like from jiu-jitsu that would like allow you to move here.
Yeah. And also, you and I, like, at least for me, I have my home base with my mom. And so like, I know I always have a room here, and that's part of my amazing situation. But when I want to pick up and go, I can. So like when I ended up moving, I say moving, when I was with Gianni Grippo, I lived with him in Jersey. That was a good, solid 2.5 years of my life, where I got to do the adult thing and like live on my own and stuff. It was so cool. And then I bought everything new. Like I barely took anything. So when I went back to LA, I still had like basically everything. It was still there. You know what I mean? I left as is. I only took some clothes, and then I just sort of built from there. We bought furniture there. You know what I mean? So it's like that pick up and go. I don't have that. Now, I literally just yesterday moved into this new house with my mom. And I mean, talk about moving. I would never. I think in the future, I might just sell everything I own because it's gnarly to go through. So yeah, also traveling so much. When I got home, I was like, cool, I can throw this away. Like birthday cards, for example, they serve their purpose when you read them. And a lot of people keep them. And I was like, yeah, it's like a keepsake, right? But then I realized, no, like it served its purpose. That's it. It doesn't need to sit in a drawer, because how many times when you're traveling in Portugal, you're like, God, I wish I had that Christmas card from my grandma in 2002. You know, so anything I didn't miss or didn't realize was in my inventory in my head that I knew I had, I didn't care to keep. So that's part of the traveling that you kind of like spoke about.
Nice.
So
All right. So you were applying for schools
EMT.
on the East Coast, but I'm really curious as to like where you went with this. Because I'm pretty sure that like you went to school. I saw you on the gram doing school out there. So
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting.
So no. It was really great. I was a good thing for like, I forget that people actually listen to this and want to learn things. So you helped me like adjust that. But yeah, so emergency medical technician, you can go through like a 4.5 month program. And it's funny because I'd already done it. I did it 10 years ago. I did it in 2010. I left my college. Listen, I left my regular college because I was like, well, I tried psychology and like it just didn't do it for me. And then I did criminology and found out everyone wanted to be a cop. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So somewhere in all of my 7 years of finishing a degree, I went to College of the Canyons, a community college, and I tried EMT, a trade, so to speak, right? So as I was doing it, you have to pass with a B, and you have to pass all your skills, all that. Well, I did. I passed the whole entire class. And at the end, you have to go and take the National Registry of Emergency Medical Technician. They're the national certification. So you have to take the exam and pass it. And then you're an EMT. And then wherever you want to work, you have to apply for a local certification. So like it takes a few steps. Well, during the ambulance ride-alongs, which we couldn't do because of COVID this time, they sat in parking lots and waited for calls. And when they got to the calls, who else would show up? Okay, a lot of the times the police officers would be there if it was traffic collision or anything like that. So law enforcement, but firefighters and paramedics who are all equipped as well to do what you're doing, if not more. So really, yeah, you might just do all the shit work, which is fine because it's a stepping stone kind of career. People go into fire, people go into paramedic school, people go into nursing even, different paths. It's not really a place because it's minimum wage. So you work 12-hour shifts plus probably overtime and you get paid minimum wage.
Wait,
so for me, yes, because it's a stepping stone career, but me not wanting to go into nursing or anything, not wanting to go into fire, police, I was like, well, I'm not just going to sit there and do that. So let me just scratch that.
I'm sorry. You said an EMT is a stepping stone career?
Yeah.
Could you just clarify as what an EMT does? Like, because I think of them as the people like on an ambulance, and to be considered like that they're paying those people minimum wage. Those people are stepping stones. Those people are stepping stones from my house to the hospital, aren't they?
We are like basic life skills. I don't even have that. Basic life support. Okay. All right. So what we do is we just sort of try to keep you alive while we get you to the people that are actually going to help you, whether it's a trauma center or like just a regular, emergency room. So like I know how to do airway, but I can't intubate. And I can give medications, but there's only 5 and they have to be prescribed for you. So basically I had to try to learn how and all the information about a bronchodilator, like albuterol, right? Like a puffer. And so if you think about it, if I show up, right, and you're like, I'm having trouble breathing, I'm having an asthma attack, and I'm like, hey, do you have a puffer, right? And you're like, oh, this one, and it says to Nico Ball, like this is yours, right? And I go, okay, cool, use it. Like, unless you were like, hey, I just got this yesterday and I'm not sure how to use it, then I can tell you, okay, you're going to put it in between the lips, in between the teeth, above the tongue, things that I learned. But in general, it's like, yo, use that thing you got. Aspirin, for example, which is also like Advil or ibuprofen, not even just the aspirin, is only for above 30. I can't give it to someone who's below. Like, you can take it because it's over the counter, but if you are, and only for chest pain. So it's really very specific. So I can't do much. I can't do IV. I don't know how to do that. Mostly it's either splinting or putting someone on a backboard, lifting and putting them in the ambulance, and then hoping to keep them alive with CPR and stuff like that. But it's not a thankless job at all. It's a great job to have. But I'm just saying,
when I think of minimum wage stepping stone careers, I think of like Walmart greeter, Starbucks barista, not
so
anybody to deal with like
it's
Life and death.
emergency help.
it is.
Life
No,
and
you
death.
literally put your life in danger. I mean,
And get paid minimum wage.
scene safety is the first thing that you pay attention to. It's scene safety for myself and my partner, then the patient, right? But if anything shitty is going on, then I have to call the law enforcement to show up first until they tell me the scene is safe, right? So that's the idea of it. But then when it comes down to it, you don't know if there's like an active shooter somewhere, or you know what I mean? I don't know. You don't really know what you're coming up on sometimes. So
There's a lot.
with that being said, I have never worked as an EMT. So this is all from what I know about it. Now, EMT is great. After like 1 year, you can go work as an ER tech in the hospitals, which therefore then you can go off and specialize or go into nursing or anything like that. Then there's like law enforcement, there's fires, there's a lot of careers. It's like the beginning, you know. It's like being a student aide if you want to be a teacher, which you would understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not a thankless job by any means, and you learn a lot. It's the experience that you're getting that tells you to head which direction. So I went to the program, and it was really, really hard. And we were the only program open in all of California because of COVID. We had an N95 mask that was like specifically fitted, and a face shield and like goggles and stuff, and then gloves, obviously. So it was, if anyone got sick at all, and especially if it was COVID, then it would get shut down, the whole program. Or like if you missed, like I think you were allowed to miss one day, but you never really wanted to because there was so much information. It was Zoom classes on Mondays, and then in person on Wednesdays, and a quiz every week. And you had to get a B or better. So it was really stressful. I did a lot of study groups, which was awesome. I met a lot of cool people. And then instead of doing the ride along, we did just the hospital. Normally you do 24-hour shift in the hospital and 12-hour shift in the ambulance. And so to combine, you have 24 hours, but they wouldn't even let us work 12 hours in the hospitals that agreed to let us come. They weren't the traditional ones. They were the ones that were just, because of COVID, you know, willing to teach us and have, EMT interns kind of. So I did 3 8-hour shifts in the ER, which was not a trauma center. So it was a lot of COVID, strokes and whatnot. So yeah. And then after I finished, you know, my whole goal was to go see Nick in Canada. During all of that time that I had committed to that, he couldn't visit because he couldn't afford to also be in quarantine for 2 weeks when he got back into Canada. So he couldn't come. He came in July, which is prior to the course, but I had to wait all the way till December. Then the border was closed. So I had to contact the border, and through a Facebook group called Faces of Advocacy, they were the ones in Canada to help make this happen. That the IRCC, which is like the border of Canada, they created exemptions. So in June, people who were immediate family members were allowed to cross the border. They were exempt as long as they quarantined for 2 weeks. So as an extended family member, they didn't make that until October. And that's when I applied because I wasn't married. Nick and I almost got married like a few times just because I wanted to go there. And I wanted to be with him. So yeah, that's weird to talk about marriage. Literally, he had come in July and we had talked about the marriage thing. And I even had an appointment to go to the Honda Center parking lot to get married. And then we hadn't even told like our families yet. And he turns to me after a week that he'd been there. And it's like, we're going to sleep, and he rolls over and he's like, so you're going to talk about the marriage thing? Cause it's been a week.
So you're about to get married
Yeah.
in a week. And during this time, you're still doing your EMT training.
Prior. Yeah. Because initially it was just like, fuck, dude, if I have to sit at home and I have to be in quarantine and not doing anything, like at least I'd want to be with Nick, and I want to be in Canada where my money will go further.
During this time, are you training?
I was training a tiny bit with Ian Sanders. but I wasn't really consistent because life was weird. And then I would go back and forth, like, is this safe? Is this safe? And then when I started the EMT program, knowing that I couldn't risk anything, then I ended up not going for like months and months, probably like 3 months or something.
So
but
with that, go ahead.
when I finished the EMT program, because I had set in my head, okay, I'll take the exam. I took the exam, and then I was like, I have to get to Canada. I have to get to Canada. My mom was like, but I'm going to go buy a house and we're going to move. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll be in Canada. And when you need me, I'll come back, because I needed to see him. It was like 4.5 months since I had seen him last. So it was no longer about like, okay, let me focus on my career. I was just like, I gotta chase love. I gotta go do that. And I did, and I ended up staying for 2 months. But in between that, there are other things you need to do for fire departments to apply. And so during all of EMT, I'm like, yep, gonna be a firefighter. I took entrance exams, probably like 5 of them. One for Savannah, one for Bellingham, Washington. I flew to Arlington on a weekend and stayed with Eric and Lindsay Force. And they were like, yeah, we'll even talk to someone about your application, to have like word of mouth, because they know everyone in that area. So I did that. I passed all of those, but the hardest part is the physical exam, which is the CPAT, the Candidate Physical Assessment Test. Yes.
The hardest part for an athlete is the physical exam.
So everyone I knew was like, you're an athlete, you're good. Well, the whole time, I mean, I wasn't really training. I actually competed 2 weekends, 3 events, and I lost like all of them because I was out of shape. But I was not in shape. I mean, I didn't start jiu-jitsu until I was 20. And the only sport I ever played was Pee Wee basketball in 3rd grade. And then I just did like Girl Scouts. I was never, ever physical. So it's like this is my normal body. I had to work really hard to become like lean and ripped and in shape, which I was at some point in my life, but not right now and not then. So I went and I did the orientation where they introduced you. There's 8 events that you have to walk through. You're not allowed to run, but they encourage you to walk fast. So there's 8 different events, but the first event, and by the way, you have a 50-pound vest on for the entire thing. And then the first event is the Stairmaster, just a regular old Stairmaster, and it's going at a rate of 1 second per step. And you have to do it for 3 minutes straight, but they add 25 pounds. So you're already wearing the vest, and then they add over your shoulders, like these big old like, bean bags of 25 more pounds. And you have to walk. You're not allowed to touch the railing. You're not allowed to lean on the railing. So a lot of people fail. And I did it for like a minute. And even then I felt it. And I was like, this is gnarly. Like I've probably gotten up to like 150 right now, but 135 was where I was like fighting it and stuff. So this is a lot of weight on me. And then people were like, it's fine. Just like go put some bricks in your backpack and just like go up some stairs somewhere and like, you'll be fine. Right.
Yeah.
So then I go to the next one. And that's like the hose drag and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, okay, I have my work cut out for me, but I think I've got it. So I started training a little more, running. I wore my own weighted vest on like the dog walks that I would do every single day and like walk with it for a long time. And then in, I think it was November or December, I went and I actually took it. I did one practice and like didn't even like make it very far. And then I did one for real. So I get off and I'm so dizzy. My legs are dead. I'm so dizzy. I barely made it. I was falling over basically before they were like, all right, time. So when I got to the next event, which is the hose drag, you hold it over and you can run around the barrel and then you get on one knee and you pull it. I was dying. Like my lungs, I couldn't think straight. Then the next one is like just carry, like a farmer's carry, but with the 2 chainsaws. So you have to take them down and then you have to pick them up, go around a barrel like 75 feet, and then come back, put it down, put it away. And I look at the guy and I go, I'm not going to make it today. Because the next thing was taking the sledgehammer and hitting until it gets closer, and like the buzzer goes off. And then there's other ones. And also there's a 165-pound dummy drag around a barrel. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so my work capacity was low. I wasn't strong, all of that. And that was at first, you're like, okay, cool, whatever. I failed it. Like, I'll be back. But then it was like, okay, I'm going to Canada. Then in my head, I'm like, I'm going to eat so good and I'm going to work out every day. Well, no, I had Tim Hortons 3 times a day, didn't do shit, just sat, whatever. And it was fine because for my heart, it was great.
You had Tim Hortons 3 times a day?
Yeah. So I'd get coffee in the morning, which my morning was like 1 p.m. And then I would get coffee at 5 maybe again, because it's only like $1.80.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's good. Double, holler. But then there was sometimes I would get like a French cruller as well, or I'd get the breakfast sandwich or the farmer's wrap. And then at night we'd go for hot chockey.
But it never occurred to you that you were going to have to take this physical test?
I think in my head, it was like, I really don't want to.
Okay. And I was like, because as an athlete, like, if you got to take a test and like I know you knew what was on the test and you'd be like, oh shit, like I'm having a donut at 8 o'clock at night. Maybe I should. So it's like you were just kind of like putting it off. Because I mean, it is a lot to be doing all that during quarantine as well. So,
I hate working out. Like, I'm an athlete, but like not really by choice. I hate working out alone. It's not about the working out. I do like how it makes me feel. I love lifting. That's why I liked CrossFit. But why did I like CrossFit? Because they're classes and you have you can compete with people versus time or how many reps you do. And they're safe with scaling. And you have someone walking up and down the aisle watching you do everything. And they can tell you, hey, open up your hips a little more. Or why don't you try this grip? Or, and then there's gymnastics stuff. So there's certain things that I excel at. I used to go to CrossFit in New York with Paulo and Joel Miao and a few other guys from Unity. And it was so fun to see that they were maybe as good as me in lifting, but like in the gymnastics part, they were great. The strength, they were, there's certain weird things that I'm good at and they're not, or vice versa. Right. And so it was new programming. I didn't have to think. The only thing I had to think was just go do the class, get through the warm up. Once you're through the warm up, your body will say, okay, I'm ready. But all through the warm up, your body's going to be saying, no, 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 no. And so when I'm at home, I can't get past that point. It's very rare that I get past that point where my body is ready to work out on my own. I need to be with other people. And, it's been hard. I just I have it. I bought a barbell. I gave myself an out. We got a punching bag. Like I gave myself a path for success and I just wasn't taking it, And it's at that point that you go and you sit and you talk to yourself and you're like, why are you not doing this? Like you know what you have to do, but you don't want to do the work. Why is that? Yeah. And having ADHD is really hard. ADHD is not, I don't do anything that like doesn't interest me. No, I do things every single day. You know how many times I don't even like going to the bathroom and I just hold it because I'm like, I'm busy, I'm doing something, I don't really feel like it. Like there are the easiest things in the world, but I don't like it. I hate brushing my teeth. It takes forever. And then they want you to do it for a minute. I mean, I learned a good technique with the little circles and stuff, but like, it's not something that I like doing. I'm literally like, but I do it because I know the power of it. But there's some things I just can't get myself to do.
So at what point did you get to the level of self-awareness where that you knew that you wouldn't work out on your own, and for you to be successful as an athlete and to be in shape that you had to go to like kind of group classes? Because that's a level of like metacognition that like you would get from like a therapist would tell you like hey, right. like so, and that's very interesting that you bring that up. And you also reached that like the topic of having ADHD, and I don't know if people don't know about you and the Submit the Sigma organization and like the work with that. It's also very interesting, but like how did you get to that self-realization?
Having people tell me and having people react in a way that I felt like either an asshole or I felt weak, like I resent the days at Cobrinhas. Some days, you can hate a situation and you can love it for different reasons. Right. So when I decided to be a full-time athlete since blue belt, it was okay. All right. So you're going to drive, up to an hour all the way through Hollywood, everything to get here. You're going to do a workout. You're going to take a small break. You're going to go to drill for an hour with someone, and you have to coordinate that on your own. And then you're going to take the class. You're going to roll really hard. And then you're going to go and you're going to eat something healthy, whether you brought it in or you have to go to Whole Foods and put it on your credit card. And then you're going to rest. So sometimes we'll here's a blanket. We'll sleep on the mat. And then you're going to train at night when all the other people come in and are just happy to be there. There was times that I was like, why is Karen beating me? She trains once a day. I train 3 times a day. And he was like, it's because you're tired, you know? And so I was overworked and I didn't have it in me. I was like, yes, Cobrina, like the God thing, you know, like you know what's best for me and I'm going to do whatever you say. Well, that dude's intense. He's intense. And even his own peers will say he trains too much for them. And that's why they're like, oh my God, you know, he doesn't stop moving, that guy. So I was expected to do the same, especially because, okay, I'm young, I've got nothing else. Like I'll have all the time and focus. And then, you know, competitions, like I'm in it, you know, I want to be the best. It's like, it's kind of like this oath, you know, like when you're like, oh, you want to be a world champion? You want to be a world champion? And you're like, I think I do. That would be grand. And then they're like, okay, starts now, you know? And so you're expected to put everything on the back burner. Like there's a famous quote that not a lot of people know, but we always knew about. It was, you know, when you train every day, you know, there's really no excuse as to why you don't train. You know, if your mom dies, you train. And I do remember going to train the same week that my dad died. So that was important, I guess. So you spend a lot of time trying to be like, I'm tough. I'm worthy of your you know, tutoring and mentorship, you know. And I'm sure Tim, you can agree or disagree.
It was just very rough, and I understand where you're coming from. Just at a certain point, you know what it takes to be great at something. You're a black belt at one of the true masters of the sport, and now you're doing this new activity. You're trying to be an EMT. You're trying to be a firefighter. You just have that fuck it inside of you. You know, you're just like,
Yeah.
fuck it. So my last question for you in this part of the show: are you retired from competition? Are you just moving on from the jiu-jitsu life, the jiu-jitsu hustle, and are you going to do EMT fire in the future or even something else?
I prioritize my mental well-being. And if that makes me weak, then it makes me weak. And if it means that from this point forward, I become a mother of 7 children, you know, and whatever, like a nobody life, you know, then so be it if it makes me happy. And I do enjoy training at Dynamics, but there's a lot of, you know, you can't fight unless, you know, you're really doing this, this, and this. Or you shouldn't sign up for a tournament because you're going against the highest level. And if you can't even run a mile straight, you have no business being there. So if it fits into my lifestyle, am I stopping training? No, never. I may even own my own school one day if that's in my cards. But as far as competing right now, I can't commit because I'm like, okay, well, I came home from Canada and I'm here for a month because I got my first COVID vaccine and I got to wait a month at least to get my second shot. So if I'm, you know, stranded here, it's like, okay, I might commit to something. And then it's like, oh shit, I want to go to Canada and I want to see Nick. So that long distance relationship kind of thing is like screwing it up. But at the same time, I've been here without anywhere else to go and not having a boyfriend or a love interest or someone who I'm like living life with. And it sucks. And I spend all my time searching for it. You know this, Tim, you know, like I search for it. So now that I have it, I'll take it, you know, and that's kind of like what I've been prioritizing. But if down the line, it's like, hell yeah, I can go train at Niagara Top Team or do striking and everything. I definitely want to train and fight. I do. I hate being out of shape. I hate being like, you know what I mean? Like the second wave, you know, I hate it. I like athlete Erin. But I also know that I'm an all or nothing and I'm not going to do something half-assed because I'm going to be up at night thinking about how embarrassing it is for 2 weeks.
Well, damn.
That's awesome though. It's like that, like it seems like a happily ever after, you know, a happy ending to all the people that don't know what they're doing. And it's like to hear that you have like what you want, something that makes you happy is amazing.
I have a part, you know, like it's like wanting to move to a city and wanting everything there. You want to be able to work there, find love there, your family's there, but it's very rare, right? Like for me, I don't want to live in LA. I don't want to settle in LA, but my family's here. So I'm automatically never going to have it all, you know? So that's why I'm always forced to prioritize, but that, you know, that's part of life.
Very true. Very true.
It's all about finding the balance. We evolve as individuals, you know. There's an old Shakespearean quote my mom used to always read to me: all the world's a stage, and the men and women are merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, but one man in his time shall play many parts. You know, life's all about seasons, you know what I'm saying?
I
So
love
check it.
that.
Yes, I kind of fucked
So
it up a little bit,
poetic.
but I haven't heard it in a really long time. But check it. Everybody, thanks for listening to this episode. We will continue the conversation with Erin on the other side. And by the other side, I mean our Patreon channel. Go on to patreon.com/BJJ GOONS for all the exclusive content. I mean, we got 3 Patreon tiers. I mean, we got so much content for you guys. I mean, ask me anything, Nico. We got techniques we're going to put up there. We got all uncensored commentary and
Conversation, this end of the
conversations like we're
conversation
about to
that I'm
have.
trying to have.
Yes.
Everything
So
short of
check it.
OnlyFans.
You can.
No, we have the
Aaron-
OnlyFans one there too.
Oh, because I was gonna just.
Wait, I didn't
wait.
stop it. Yeah.
Okay.
Cut. All right, cut the episode.